If a young person or juvenile is accused of breaking the law, juvenile court is where the case is handled. Going to juvenile court can be scary. It's a place many people aren't familiar with, and it has its own set of rules, but it's designed to protect you and your rights. If you're asked to appear in juvenile court, it's important to understand how the court works. So we created this video to explain what to expect. I'll describe who works in the court and the best way to act when you are there. Courtrooms can be big or small. They can be really fancy with high ceilings or very simple rooms with just a few tables. What happens in the courtroom, no matter what it looks like, is similar everywhere. And as you'll learn in this video, what you need to do in the court is the same as well. Courtrooms usually have several people working in them. They all have different jobs to do. The judge is the person in charge of the courtroom. He or she makes sure everyone in court follows the rules. The judge decides if a law was broken and determines what happens next. The clerk is the judge's assistant and helps manage information and other activities for the judge. The bailiff is the person who maintains order. The bailiff might also announce the beginning and end of a court session. The juvenile officer's attorney is the attorney hired by the juvenile officer to try to prove that a charge is true. The defense attorney is a lawyer who helps the accused juvenile defend him or herself in court. Also, there might be other people in the court, including other attorneys, juvenile officers, your parents, and witnesses. I'll tell you about them in a few minutes. When you're in court, it's important to be quiet and respectful towards the judge, the attorneys, and anyone else in the room. If you've been accused of breaking the law and are told to appear in juvenile court, several things will happen. Most of the time, you and your parents will receive a summons to appear in juvenile court. A summons is an official letter telling you and your parents to come to court. A summons will contain a copy of the petition that describes what you are accused of doing, which is called a charge or count, and tells you the date and time you need to appear in court. A summons usually requires you to attend a hearing. There are three types of hearings: a detention hearing, an adjudication hearing, and a dispositional hearing. The dispositional hearing usually takes place right after the adjudication hearing on the same day. Here's what happens in each of those hearings. The detention hearing is your first appearance in juvenile court if you have been detained. It usually happens within 3 days, not including weekends and holidays, of your admission at the detention center. At the detention hearing, the charge against you is announced and a decision will be made by the judge whether or not you stay in the detention until the next hearing. Sometimes you will stay in the detention center and not go to juvenile court for this hearing. In that situation, you are taken to a room and watch the hearing on a computer screen where the people in the courtroom can see and hear you too. You may want an attorney to represent you at the detention hearing, but if you don't have one, or if your family can't afford to pay for one, that's okay. You can ask the court to provide you with an attorney. While many people choose to work with a court-appointed attorney, others prefer to have an attorney they already know. Most of the time, if the juvenile office is recommending that you stay in the detention center, you will have an attorney representing you. Either way, if you have an attorney at the detention hearing, make sure he or she is aware of any special concerns or disabilities you may have. Your parents have the right to have an attorney with them, too. At a detention hearing, you will not be asked to admit to or deny the charge made against you. You may, though, have to answer some basic questions, such as what is your name and address, and do you understand the charge against you? The judge will listen to your attorney and the attorney for the juvenile office and your parents discuss whether or not you should stay in the detention center until the next hearing. Also, the judge will usually decide on a date for the next hearing at that time. The second hearing will look more like an adult hearing or trial. It is called an adjudication hearing and might be immediately followed by a dispositional hearing. During your adjudication hearing, the juvenile office attorney presents evidence to try to show that you did what you were charged with. Your attorney also has the chance to give your side of the story to the judge. You are likely to see people with the same jobs in this courtroom as you did at your detention hearing. They could even be the same people. There may be some additional people in the courtroom as well, such as witnesses. Witnesses are people who may know something about what happened. The juvenile office attorney may ask the witness to talk about what they saw or know. Your attorney may also ask witnesses questions too. After listening to the juvenile juvenile office attorney and your attorney explain each side, the judge will decide if you broke the law. If the judge decides that the juvenile office attorney didn't prove that you broke the law, then your case is over. Your attorney or the judge will tell you if you need to do anything else. But if the judge decides that the juvenile office attorney did prove that you did purposely or intentionally break the law, the judge will then give you another date to return to court for the dispositional hearing to learn what the consequences are. This is called a disposition. Usually, the juvenile office attorney, your parents, your attorney, and the judge will agree to start the dispositional hearing right then. The third part of the court process is called the dispositional hearing. And yes, people with the same jobs as those you've seen before may be at this hearing. There may be sworn witnesses, such as doctors, juvenile officers, counselors, or a school principal, who may talk about their thoughts about you or what happened. Then the judge will tell you his decision, which is the consequence for breaking the law, and you and your parents will be told what the next steps are. If you don't understand something in juvenile court, be sure to quietly tell your attorney or your parents. You always have the right to understand what is happening. The judge may ask you to talk to someone separately to make sure you understand the court process. The judge may ask you to talk to someone separately to make sure you understand the court process. In this next part, we'll talk more about this and explain the right way to behave in a courtroom. There are great tips that can make a big difference. A courtroom is a serious place, and it can be hard to know how to act when you are there. If you need to go to court, being prepared can make things a lot less confusing or scary. Going to court is an important event, so you need to treat the process and the people in court with respect. Being ready for court is a very smart thing to think about. Remember, it's okay to be nervous. Most people are. Your attorney can help you through the process and answer any questions. The tips I'm going to share with you will help you feel ready and less nervous. Sound good? Great. Let's get started. It's really important to be on time for your hearing. Try to visit the courthouse with your parents a few days before your hearing so you know your way around and can avoid any surprises that would make you late. Know how long it takes to get there. Give yourself extra time on the day of your hearing so you are there on time. On the day of your court hearing, you and your parents need to dress in a way that's suitable for court. Be sure that you wear a clean, neat outfit. Choose clothes that you might wear to school, for example. Long pants, not a skirt, and shirts with no words or pictures are all good choices. You should not wear shorts or a hat to court. People in court are expected to follow certain rules and act in a mature way. On the day of your hearing, keep these things in mind. The noise from cell phones is distracting for the judge and other people in the courtroom. So turn off your cell phones when you enter. If you like to chew gum, be sure to throw your gum away before your hearing. It's not appropriate to eat or drink in a courtroom. Making a good impression on the judge and others in the court lets them see that you understand how important your hearing is. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Bring a book or magazine to keep you occupied until your hearing starts. Courtrooms are often busy, so your hearing may start later than scheduled. A juvenile officer may meet with you before and possibly after the hearing takes place to answer any questions you or your parents may have. For some people, it can be hard to make eye contact. If someone speaks to you, do your best to look at them and listen to what they're saying. Try to be still and stay in your seat during your hearing. It shows that you are paying attention and being considerate to others. In some parts of a hearing, you may be asked to answer questions. If your attorney thinks that's necessary, he or she should help you to prepare. Ask to practice ahead of time. When you're at your hearing, remember the judge wants to hear both sides and will give each side a chance to talk. So wait until it's your turn to speak. If the judge asks you to speak, be sure to speak clearly and slowly. Your attorney will do most of the talking for you, but you may have to answer some questions. There will be a microphone in front of you at the table because it's important that everything is clearly recorded. Talk with your attorney about whether you should tell your story. If your attorney wants you to tell your story in court, make sure that you and your attorney meet before the hearing to prepare, so your attorney can help you to know what to say. As mentioned earlier, you want to make a good impression on the judge. Sometimes you may hear something that doesn't seem right or fair, but you'll show maturity if you stay calm and answer questions politely. It's okay if you have questions or need more explanations about the words being used courtroom. If you're confused or think it's important to ask your attorney a question during a hearing, quietly let your attorney know or pass him or her a note. If the judge asks you if you understand what's going on, make sure that you tell the judge if you do not understand. It's okay to ask questions then too. You can also ask your attorney before or after a hearing. It's not unusual to feel anxious or upset during a court hearing. So before your hearing, it's really good to think of something that might calm you if you start to feel this way. Being prepared for court hearings is important because the decision about your case can have a big effect on you and your life. But if you understand your rights in the court process and you act with courtesy and respect, you're more likely to have an experience that you understand. Thanks for watching.